Sydney, thank you. President-elect Joe Biden faces a daunting first 100 days. He has committed his team will help to get at least 100 million COVID-19 vaccine shots into the arms of Americans within that time frame. And joining us live to talk more about his agenda is political analyst, our good friend Dick Batchelor. Haven't seen you in a long time, Dick. Good to see you again. You're still in the car. You haven't left.
Good to see you again, too.
All right, I'm glad you can hear me better this time. Okay, so let's start with that vaccine promise, because that's a huge undertaking. We've heard from both sides on the think tank on this. Some saying there's no way that he can make that happen. Others saying, hey, we can do anything we put our minds to. What are your thoughts on that 100 million vaccines?
I think it will get done. In fact, the manufacturers have already committed to another 100 million doses apiece, Pfizer and Moderna, and then others are coming online. So I think it will get done. I think we need to really work at the state level to see how do we deploy it. For instance, in Orange County, I went through that experience. It was very well organized. I was in and out in 20 minutes with an appointment. But other counties like Volusia County, people were sleeping in their car, 80 years old, 3 o'clock in the morning, waited to get in. So the structure at the state level has got to change so they can more efficiently deploy it. But I think he will meet that goal of 100 million for reasons of safety, health, and also the economic recovery.
Dick, as many presidents do on their first day in office, they have many executive orders. They like to overturn things that they didn't like about the previous administration. It happens every time there's a new president. What do you anticipate happening later today?
I think on immigration, he'll sign an executive order on that. I think the Muslim travel ban, I think he'll sign one on that. But one I'm really excited about, I think it's going to rescind a lot of the EPA guidelines that were established under the Trump administration. They push back on climate change, they push back on environmental hazards. And in fact, they push back on a lot of environmental policies that were very protective of children who were very susceptible to environmental hazards. So I think he'll rescind some of those rules today. So I think you're going to see a flurry of activity, and hopefully we'll have some cooperation from the other side of the aisle.
Dick, I know you had a recent phone call with former President Clinton. Tell me a little bit about that conversation and what his thoughts are going into the new administration.
First, you asked about Amy at Fox 35, and I said you were doing well. But beyond that, we talked about a lot of things. We talked about the Clinton Global Initiative. We talked about, of course, Hillary, of course, and Chelsea and how they would do it. But on the administration, we talked about going forward in the Biden-Harris agenda. It's going to be a very difficult one. But keep in mind, President Clinton came in 1992 in a very dire circumstances, having been an incumbent president, and he had a very tough time. And in 1994, when Newt Gingrich took over the House, it became even more difficult. So I think President Clinton recognizes the burdens that's going to be placed on Biden. We've got a very divided country, with a lot of issues he's got to work together, but it's going to take some cooperation across the aisle. And I think a good sign this morning is when Mitch McConnell and Kevin McCarthy, the majority leader in the House until today, will be going to the cathedral with the Biden family. So I think those kind of overtures, the public and the optics, the public needs to have some confidence that, notwithstanding the sedition attempt on the 6th, we can bring this country together and the cover can function. So I think there's some overtures being made by Mitch McConnell and others in the Republican leadership that bode well for the country.
Dick, I know you are a longtime Democrat, but are you able to look back at the 4 years of President Trump? Is there anything in there that you felt was a positive for him, or something that you were like, okay, there's an attaboy for that one?
Well, I think some of the things he's done, I think with the military, the Veterans Administration, he really cleaned up that and took care of the veterans, of which I am one. And so I think the policies on criminal justice reform are to be applauded. The whole irony about this, Trump could have won re-election had he focused on those successes and not just gone off the rails. I mean, he could have gotten out front on COVID, said wearing masks, social distance. We'll get this economy back together because we're going to get you back in the workplace and turn the economy around. I think he could have taken some credit on that with the Warp Speed program. So I think he had an opportunity to really, if he'd taken the issues that he was successful on, and let's say there are 8 or 10 of those issues, and focus on those issues, like he did the day in his final farewell speech, I think he would have done better. But yes, he's done some good things, but there's a lot of things that have been done that need to be undone.
All right, Dick Batchelor, we always appreciate your insight, and thank you so much for being with us on a busy day.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.